This is the first time I'm doing this video and a drink with Sheena, so bear with me as I figure things out, okay? So I want these videos to be really quick and for them to be something that is easy for you to add into what you're doing at home. So the first thing that we're gonna be making is a cashew milk, which is, like, in my opinion, literally the easiest thing to do. And it stops you from having to buy store-bought milk, and you need almost zero tools. So this is what we're doing. I'm gonna call this a 5-minute nut milk because aside from soaking the nuts, which sometimes I do, usually I do, I think it makes it a little bit more digestible. It literally takes 5 minutes. So if you don't have any pre-soaked nuts, what you can do is you can get some boiling hot water and just pour it on top of the nuts that you're using for the nut milk. So I'll show you, these have been soaking for like a day and a half in the refrigerator, and you can see the water's kind of murky. So we're gonna, I'm gonna strain this, and those are gonna be the nuts that we use. So we're gonna strain those. I have a couple of other ingredients. These are some soaked medjool dates. Again, like, you don't necessarily have to soak them, but soaking them actually makes it a little bit easier for them to blend. What I did with these, I didn't soak these overnight, but if you wanted to, you could throw them in the same container as the cashews. What I did with this one is I just used some hot water from the coffee pot. And so they've just been soaking in some hot water, and I'm actually gonna use this water in making the milk. So let's see what we got. Again, this is gonna be a super fast, like, how do you make your own nut milk at home to, like, prevent buying store-bought. I have about a cup of soaked cashews. Okay, we're gonna throw that in to the blender. I use a Vitamix, and I'm gonna tag the Vitamix that I use. If you don't have a Vitamix and you have like a NutriBullet, you might want to, so I'll show you. I do this kind of like in a little bit of a different process than normal. I add like a little bit of water. I blend it completely so it's super smooth. And then I add the rest of the water to dilute and keep in the refrigerator so that I have a good amount for the week. Okay, so soaked cashews in the blender. I'm gonna add a little bit of filtered water. So I'm gonna cover the cashews and then, like, have them floating a little bit. It's very precise. And then I'm gonna blend this completely. I have a liquefy setting on mine. If you have a manual one, it's gonna be about 30 seconds. Okay, so depending on how strong your blender is, you might not have to blend it that long. Like that might have been too long, or you might need to blend it a little bit longer. So blending is so we soak, blend, and now I'm going to strain. This is also not necessarily needed for cashew milk because they're so soft. So just keep that in mind, that it's pretty easy to amend this recipe because cashews are super easy. They're very mild in flavor, and they're just easy. So, okay, I'm pouring this through a nut milk bag that I have on top of a little glass bowl. I'm gonna show you what that looks like while I'm doing it. You'll see if you have a good blender, like a Vitamix, there's almost no pulp in the nut milk bag. Like, so this again is just like, just helps the consistency and just helps it like be really smooth. Just that quick little strain. I don't think a strainer would work because, like, you're pretty much liquefying it. So, so here's the bowl. You could be done. This is like perfectly ready to go. It's a little bit on the thick side, but I like to sweeten it a little bit and add a little bit of salt and oil to help emulsify it. So gonna pour the strained milk back into the blender. I'm gonna add my soaked dates into the blender and the water they were soaking in, because actually most of the sweetener is in there, and I'm using 3 dates. So it's about a cup of cashews, 3 dates. I'm gonna do a pinch of salt, maybe like half a teaspoon of cinnamon. And then I like to use an MCT oil or a little bit of coconut oil because it helps the milk to emulsify. Who cares what that means? It's really just like keep it together. Emulsify, like emulsification. So like the milks that you buy in the store generally have like gum or something in them to just like keep it together so that it's not separating. Hello, bug. So the way that you can do that at home is by adding a little, either like a little bit of oil, literally like that's it, like nothing. So this is the last step. This goes down as literally the easiest thing that you can ever do. We're gonna blend it one more time, just to like, oh, side note, if you soak your dates with the cashews, you can blend it and strain it all at one time. I don't really mind the little bit of pulp from the dates, so it's staying in mine. But if you want it like super smooth, you can strain it. You can make this a 3-part process or a 1-part process. But I like that we can have this for like coffees and smoothies and everything on hand and not have to buy it. I think it's a little bit less expensive, but also it tastes like substantially better. And like if you use it for coffee or lattes, it foams so easily and is like a little bit thicker. You can kind of gauge the thickness that you want. So we're gonna do one more quick blend. Okay, we're done. This is the literal 5-minute at-home nut milk that you can make with approximately 4 ingredients: cashews, dates. If you wanted to sweeten with something else, or if you didn't want to sweeten at all, monk fruit is a great option for people who are keto or who don't want any glycemic index. Monk fruit works okay. I like using whole fruits and ingredients. So there you have it. This will last about 3 or 4 days, just depending on what you use it for, but it's a great nut alternative. I'm gonna try it just to make sure it's good. It's a little warm, straight from the cow. Wow, it's so good. I use 3 dates, and that's like kind of, it's like perfectly sweet for, I would say this is about half a liter of milk, and we used 1 cup of soaked cashews, which would probably be a little bit less before you soak it. So let me see if you guys have any questions, and then I'm going to peace out because we're gonna do these super quick. How long do you keep these for? This would be good for 3 to 4 days. Do you use the pulp for anything? Why is my top on, Deanna? Morning. To you. Do I use the pulp for anything? Honestly, Claire, I have almost no pulp with the cashew milk. So we don't really need to, I don't think you could do anything because the cashew milk almost creates no pulp when you have a really good blender. If you don't have a great blender, you can blend less milk at a time. Like you might want to do it in batches, but really it should be almost like the nuts should be pretty well disintegrated. by the time that you're finished, and you shouldn't really have a lot of pulp. Almond milk is different, and we use the almond pulp at Raw Republic for a couple of desserts and things like that. But the cashew milk is just easier and different, and it's a great base for so many things. It's a great base for smoothies. It's a great base for if you're making your ice cream at home, or like for granola. It's just easy and delicious, and I'm about to go make a cappuccino with it. So thanks for having a drink with me, and I'll see you again soon.